Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mindset Monday with Andree Martin on the Success Insight podcast. Andree is our leadership mindset and golf performance coach. She is an LPGA Class A life member, a nationally recognized top 50 golf teacher and expert, a member of the Maine Golf Hall of Fame, and a Neurolinguistic programming NLP Master Certified Coach. Recognizing golf's value as a business tool in today's competitive marketplace, Andree works with individuals, groups, corporate, or organizational clients to create educational and team-building programs that enhance the professional success of aspiring executives. Andree, welcome back to another episode of Mindset Monday on the Success Inside podcast.
Thanks, Howard. Always great to be here to share new ideas and knowledge with everybody. It's time to go for the gold and not settle for silver.
You got that. And I think I've shared this with you. I am using that metaphor over and over again with my own career development clients. I love metaphors in any case, but it's such a powerful one, especially in helping them achieve their goals and deciding what they want to do in their career and going through the prep for it. So again, thank you for introducing that concept way back when, because I love it. Go for the gold and don't settle for silver.
And it's my pleasure. And it's just so appropriate having the Winter Olympic Games. And today's episode is actually one of two parts. It's the essential keys to overcome overwhelm. COVID has changed our world forever.
I think that, yes.
And even the Olympic athletes, the market, families are creating new routines. So my question to the listeners is, how have you pivoted? And if not, are you ready to pivot now? Are you over it?
Somehow, I don't know about over it, but definitely we have to learn how to pivot and be very adaptable. If one thing this little pandemic has taught us over the past couple of years is we have to be adaptable and be ready to pivot at a moment's notice.
Adaptable, willing to pivot and roll with change, because change is constant.
Sure.
It's crazy how people are having to get comfortable with change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I find that part very interesting. So I've spoken with several people over the last, pretty much since the holidays, and everybody seems to be in overwhelm. And that's why today's essential keys to overcoming overwhelm has come about. I thought I'd start first with, okay, let's define it, because some folks think it's the same thing as stress, but more defined. Overwhelm really is, it's like you're losing control or feeling the need to take control. People are having a hard time relaxing, quieting the mind. What's that? Feeling, and then you get to feeling bad about yourself, and esteem just takes a plummet. You get lonely, feel worthless, depression sinks in, you start avoiding others. And with all these occurring cases of COVID, everybody's shut in and avoiding others, whether you want to or not anyway.
Sure.
And so I think overwhelmed is more emotionally based than stress. And it entails, it really means to be completely submerged by your thoughts and emotions about all of life's current problems, to the point where you lack efficacy and feeling frozen and paralyzed.
Sure.
Okay. So, and then to go to the next step, a lot of folks don't know the causes, and it's a form of anxiety. I mentioned worry a minute ago. Trying to do too much at once can certainly create overwhelm. I have been the queen of that over the years. That's why I can easily talk about this subject and give folks strategies to really overcome this emotional roller coaster that we are learning to endure. And some of the areas include relationship issues. Sometimes we're unwilling to deal with the choices that we've made or the choices that have been imposed unwillingly to us. Try to do too much at once. Again, you and I are queen and king of that. We were talking about that even before we started the recording.
Right.
And so sometimes we have to look at our success plan to keep that overwhelm at bay. And again, I'm going to share some of those essential keys in a moment.
Okay.
It includes physical or mental health illnesses. I also feel that work and family combined stresses uncertainty, the unknown of being alone, of losing a job or having to create a new job in a whole new way, having to restructure part-time at home, part-time at work, going all in back to work, and then all of a sudden restructuring back at home. A lot of folks have lost jobs or dealing with being a couch potato, but I'm going to motivate and figure out, okay, what's next? These are all big, overwhelming stressors. The lack of nutrition can be a result of all these stresses, and watching the budget adds to the nutrition. Inflation is skyrocketing our grocery bills. There's a lot going on here. Financial distress and insecurity, once again, add to all that. There are significant life changes, death of a loved one, time constraints, the juggling act. And I really feel it's a wake-up call of yourself saying it's time to figure out life balance. It needs a wake-up call. And so I've broken down the essential keys into a metaphor using the word overwhelm. Okay. So I'm going to state it. And then in this half, we're going to do half of that word in detail and some keys that folks are going to leave here with some ideas and strategies. And then I'm currently working on a webinar where people can actually help themselves go through it with answers.
Great.
Really helpful. So O is observe. V is validate. E is express. R, rate and track. W, winning attitude. H, help and be willing to ask for help. E, evaluate, escalate, repeat. L, list. M, manage. So in this episode, I want to jump right into observe. You want to observe and be willing to say, okay, I'm in overwhelm. I feel it. I know it. And a lot of times we're just running in circles and you're feeling the emotions and you get all tensed and bunched up and you can just feel it building, right? What feelings do you have when you're in overwhelm, Howard?
I kind of go into like a freeze mode. I literally have to turn off all distractions. And it's funny, social media, I mean, there are benefits to it but I think there's a lot more negativity associated with social media, because if we're not careful, there's just so much unfiltered, unmanaged content coming to me that if I start to read it and I start to think about, well, this is not under my control, then I go into overwhelm. And so I think I have to eliminate all distractions. And if not, I freeze. So I have to literally eliminate all distractions.
And so to the listeners, I suggest that you list what you're feeling in this moment of awareness. I tend to twirl. my head just spins and I just get dizzy and I have to physically get up and move around and almost do like a walking, moving, centering of myself, recentering.
Would it also benefit from when we observe being in the moment to stop and knowing what am I doing that is causing that overwhelm? And like for me,
Yes.
again, it's the social media. If I engage in social media, I know it's going to lead to overwhelm. So I have to absolutely stop it.
Absolutely. And that's part of this list that you're going to actually create and say, okay, this leads to this. And it might be a vicious cycle that's occurring. It's like, I'm in overwhelm. Okay, I'm going to escape to social media. Oh my God, social media is making it twice as ridiculous. And then I shut down. I don't want to move. I'm stopping everything. I'm no longer productive. I'm in overwhelm. There's your vicious cycle, right? And then what you need to do, because you've said out loud, you're admitted, I'm in overwhelm. Okay. You need to validate yourself. There's your V. You need to validate yourself, the awareness and willingness to move through and be vigilant about it. Focusing on one thing at a time. So instead of shutting down on the social media, you're gonna go one step at a time. Okay, why am I on social media? How is this benefiting my business?
Right.
And is this a revenue generating activity? Is what I'm doing as I'm filtering through all this social media, or is it really calming my mind, or is it not?
Well, and I would even
Part of
give it
that.
a lot more detail, be a lot more detailed in my response. Is it making me, for example, happy?
Yes.
Is it making me grateful, giving me hope? And then if it's not, then I can say, no, I'm not going to engage in this kind of an activity. I mean, if I see my nieces and my nephews with their kids,
Yeah.
or I see my friends with their pets and some great photography work that some of my colleagues are shooting, that's making me happy. It's making me glad to be a part of these communities. But if any of those awareness and validation of happiness, gratefulness, hope, comfort are not there, then I should turn it off.
And to your point, I've got a couple examples I'd like to share. Business and sport can be very similar in the overwhelm, and it's a matter of identifying it in a different sort of way. So in golf, I've often taught you've got one focus at a time and shift it every 3 golf balls. So instead of thinking about, okay, I've got to take it back to full swing, or is it 3/4, and where are my arm positions and how am I coiling my body and turning my back to the target? That's way too much, even with just a backswing focus. I actually when I get a student that's in total overwhelm because it's like, oh, this is just too much. I can't get it down. I'll go one more step. It's like one focus, turn your back to the target with width. Fine. That's all connected. And then one focus on the finish. And it's one focus in mechanics, one part of the game. Okay, so back to the target with a full swing is a full swing focus. In a short game, it might only be a quarter swing back. And how much of a rotation do you need for that? And then rotate the percentages of focus needed by the percentage of importance that has to the game. Driver's 14% of your score. It's not 100. And I've got guys that hit drivers all day long and don't care about the rest of the game. On the other hand, you've got putting that is 28 to 33% of your score, depending on your ability level, maybe even more.
Right.
I've got folks that 35 and 40 putt. Holy cow, there's 10 shots right there if you get yourself back down to a decent average.
Yep.
And so that's just a huge relief when you break that down. And we do that in our businesses too. Now I want to stay on the Olympic focus because it's a Winter Olympic year. And these athletes plan to prepare. They have proper nutrition. They do their cross training. They break down each aspect, working one aspect at a time versus thinking, how am I going to get it all done in the next 4 years to re-qualify for the team? Now, they're focused on going for the gold, and here's how we're going to go for the gold with everything broken out. So observe, validate, express what you really want. And this goes back to your grateful happiness piece that you mentioned a minute ago, Howard. You want to go within versus just outside. And this was something I really had to learn through my career. I was always listening to everybody else and what they thought. Well, that's fine. But then you got to go inside, taking in what everybody says, listen to your mind and body, check in, make sure you're aligned with it and that it feels right. You and I teach how to operate and work with your intuition and gut all the time. This is an important piece for your full expression as the athlete, as the business person, business leader that you are. Whether you are a solopreneur or a part of a team, it's essential for you to succeed on the team, on the field, and in your businesses. So what are you going to stand for? And really listen inside and take in how you can shift and pivot. And then the R is rate and track your improvement and progress. Create a starting point and a desired endpoint. Overwhelm happens when you look at it all at once. This is an opportunity to chunk it down.
Right.
How are we doing? And folks, this is where you trust your coaching in each aspect and each step of the way. Set new benchmarks as needed. Keep going positively in the right direction. Move out your stressors. And you're good. They're going to keep popping up. Okay, great. Here we go again. No, not now. I'm focusing here. I'm choosing it. And that's why I love what I do as an NLP master coach, because I help people move this out for good. And it includes mind and body calming techniques when the overwhelming rat brain rears its ugly head. All key pieces for success. And so in the next podcast, I'll cover even more ways to help you move through the remaining keys to overcome, overwhelm, and keep going for the gold.
Fantastic. So today's episode, we learned about observe, validate, express, rate, and track, and more gold to come. So thank you so much, Andree.
My pleasure, Howard, as always. And folks, make your lists, express and track and rate, and we'll keep working it into the next episode. Stay tuned.
Fantastic. So Andree, before we head out, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where are the best places for them to go?
Absolutely. You can always go to my website, which is andreegolf.com, Andree with 2 E's. I can also be found on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube.
Fantastic. Well, we will definitely provide the backlinks to those social sites. And once again, it's been great to get you back in front of the mic and really creating some gold material with you. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, Howard. My pleasure.
All
Until
right.
next time.
Fantastic. All right, folks, we've just been chatting with Andree Martin, our leadership mindset and golf performance coach. Today's topic was the essential keys to overcome overwhelm. And we started to really slice and dice up the word overwhelm. And we started with the 4 parts of those essential keys. And we're going to get the second half in our next episode in March. So hopefully you are getting some benefit out of this conversation and these insights from Andree. And because, in the time we've done this, I think episode over 50, and we are continuing to break ground with some new and insightful conversations. So I truly appreciate having Andree join me on these podcast episodes, especially this wonderful series, Mindset Monday. Folks, if you enjoyed today's episode, please check us out on successinsightpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook and on LinkedIn, our Success Insight podcast pages. And you can find us on the leading podcast directories: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. And there's some other tertiary podcast directories where you can easily find us as well. I think we're probably on almost all the directories. So, folks, again, if you enjoyed the episode and you are checking out the episodes on any one of the sites or directories, please let us know what your thoughts were. Like it, comment, share it. And we truly appreciate that as well. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we will see you on a future episode of Mindset Monday with Andree Martin on the Success Insight podcast. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.